Hey guys, welcome to Cars and Health Bars. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about some good and bad habits that we see in the mechanic industry. Also, we're going to be discussing the past 10 years of Battlefield games with Tyler. With that being said, guys, let's get right into it. As you heard in the intro, we are joined by Tyler, returning guest, of course, and what better of a topic to talk about than what are some habits that we see from, techs that, maybe just started or are experienced and just carry on bad habits? That's what we're going to get into today. So I just want to kind of start out by kind of telling you how we got into this idea of a topic. I guess if you've been keeping up with the show, my Dakota and my Camaro both have been kind of under the knife here lately. So I've been working kind of closely with Jordan, learning some things he has, and he's definitely showed me, I would say, put me on the path of not having bad habits. If you would agree with that, Jordan.
I don't know what I've done that's good.
I mean, I guess we could just get right into it. I mean, definitely the whole torquing stuff to spec thing is a big thing for you.
Oh yeah. Definitely any mating surface like that seals up. I'm definitely torquing to spec.
I mean, I even see you torquing wheels to spec. You torque everything to spec is what I'm like. You're very
wheels
on
are
that.
important, dog. You might get away with the Ugga Duggas, but I'm not gonna say I haven't Ugga Dugga a lot of wheels on. But I don't know. I guess at some point I just started doing that.
Yeah, well, you working hourly is kind of different. That's why I kind of wanted to see what Tyler has input on, because, Tyler, you go by the job. There's got to be days where you're like, man, I'm kind of behind. I got to just kind of guess on this, or, maybe not even torque it at all,
Well, like wheels and stuff like that, it's kind of an iffy thing. If I second guess myself 100%, I'm torquing them down. But if I know that, all right, I zapped them up, I'm going to run a walkthrough on it real quick, make sure everything's good, and we're good to go. Now, torquing anything, like Jordan said, anything mate and surface-wise, torque to spec. Go look at the book, look at a diagram, look at a torque sequence and everything else, because those are really important. Especially in, even as simple as an oil pan. You want to look at...
That's probably one of the most important.
Yeah, but you want to look at how it needs to be torqued, because you don't want to warp your pan. You don't want to cause a major leak or something like that.
You talking about a torque sequence?
Yep.
And then also RTV in the corners, if that's like on an LS, your RTV in the corners of the pan to the front and rear cover. Any engine, really, I'd say any corners, I would dab a little RTV. I don't even care if you're supposed to or not. I would do it just to be safe.
Yeah, 100%.
I remember whenever we did my rear main seal, I'll never forget that. You pointed that out. You're like, man, these LSs are really bad after so many miles of these rear main seals leaking. And even the oil cooler.
Rear cover.
Rear cover and the oil cooler gasket. And it was exactly right. Like I said, my oil cooler gas is still leaking to this day.
Mine is too.
It's just such a common thing with LSs. But I kind of want to branch off on, we kind of got into doing repairs quickly. That's something that we saw. Me and you both working on the Dakota for the first time. You have not really messed with that platform any either, and it's it gets easy to, especially whenever you're putting stuff back together, to get ahead of yourself, and you put a part on, just for example, like the air cooler, and then you forgot to put something underneath that on, or put a line on that goes underneath that, and then you got to start taking stuff apart. Is that something that you kind of see whenever even if you're working on something you're familiar with, if you're just not paying attention, if you have that oversight and make mistakes like that whenever you're rushing, trying to get something back together quickly?
100%. I do that to this day with stuff like even a C7, right? Like I pulled I don't know how many C7 engines I pulled, maybe 5 or 6, but I feel like I got them pretty far down, and I still do pulling motor mounts. That's still something I struggle with. And the oil cooler on those, you have to pull the oil cooler to pull the engine because it hits the subframe, and I'll still forget that sometimes, I notice.
Yeah, I'll say that's even a thing with any trade. Just rushing is just not great. For example, I was doing a punch repair at my job, and the base for whatever reason, the base that the punch sits on to be machined, underneath the punch is where it says which way it needs to be facing. So I had done tightened that thing down, had dowel pins in it and everything, and I was like, oh, which way does this face? I'm like, oh god, now I gotta take his punch back off that I done seated all the way on just to figure out which way I need to have it face. You better believe I took a pencil grinder that thing after I got that untightened, because that is the dumbest thing ever to have that written underneath the punch. But it's just small stuff like that you can just like slow down and take your time with.
Yeah, I remember working at Ford. I did an oil change on one car, and I was like, I double guessed myself, so I was like, I did an oil change on, I parked it, and I went outside. I couldn't remember if I torqued the drain plug, so I just grabbed a 15 wrench and crawled under there and tightened it. Sure enough, it wasn't really as tight as I'd liked it to be. It was snug, but it wasn't really that tight. I don't know if it would have came out or not, but I wasn't risking it.
That's funny. Is that something that you guys see? Because we saw that on the Dakota not long ago. People over tightening drain plugs.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, over tightening drain plugs, over tightening oil filters, everything. Now, one thing that I see as a technician, as kind of a senior tech at this point, I don't want to consider myself a senior tech, but I really am. There is so much stuff that can be avoided just by taking your time. Like, I get it. You're flat rate. You want to get the job done so you can make some money. And money can be hard to come by being flat rate. But what I try to explain to every new person is take your time on the first job. You might lose out on the first job, but the second one will come faster because you already know what to do and you paid attention and took time.
You know, I got a perfect example of that. Door latches, dog. I remember my first fusion. I said I'd never do this again. It took me probably 3 hours. 3 hours. I mean, I lost my ass so bad on it. And then by that second one, it took me like an hour and a half or hour. Finally, I got to the point where I could do them in like 30, 40 minutes, if that.
It just takes time. It really does.
Yeah, repetition. I mean, anything you do so many times, you start to get the hang of it, and you can start, cutting down on that time and everything. I'm training some new guys at work now, and, I've been timing them to see how long it takes them to set up a machine, and I'm just like sitting there thinking like, dang, I don't know how I've done this so fast, but I've just gained so many tricks, that cut down on my time. And it's just kind of cool to see people kind of take their own ways about learning that repetition and learning that habit of what corners you can, kind of cut some time off of and stuff.
Yeah, and that's what I like about working with someone like Haney or just really anyone, because everyone does something a little different, so you can always see, there's always somewhere that you could change something up.
Yeah, that's always what I tell my new guys. I don't want them to follow me to a T. I want them to train with me. I want them to train the other two machinists. I want them to formulate, because that's how I trained. I worked with 3 or 4 different people, and I kind of took bits and pieces from each person, and I kind of formulated my own way. That's always what I strive to tell my guys is find your own way. Take bits and pieces from this guy, maybe, throw some of your own stuff in there that you learn on your own. It's always good. That's the thing that I push big time, is there's no one right way to do something in life. There's so many different ways to do everything. There probably are some things that kind of doesn't apply to, but it's like the old saying you hear all the time, there's a million different ways to skin a cat.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, me and Tyler, when we moved up to Tex, we didn't have no training or nothing. We just got thrown to the wind.
Yeah, I mean, we got thrown out there and had to figure it out ourselves. We didn't have, we had some techs that got the shadow program pretty much. Well, by the time we got moved up to the tech, they already stopped the program, so we kind of just had to figure everything out ourselves.
See, I'm such a firm believer in that too, because I know people do learn by reading books, but it's just like I can't wrap my mind around that, because it just like the people in my trade, it's all CNC, it's all button pushing. Until somebody could watch me for 6 months set up dies, but until they actually get thrown onto the machine themselves and they're the ones pushing the buttons, they're the ones in control, I don't feel like they're ever going to learn anything until they get to that stage. It's just like you don't learn that repetition unless you're the one doing it. I just don't see how people are book learners. I know you guys are out there, but it just they're so rare in a skilled trade like ours, I feel like.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I find it funny when people say, "Just look at the book, you'll learn." Like, a lot of people don't learn just like that.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the cool thing about working on cars is, you got to take stuff apart to get to the problem and then put it back together. I feel like that's the best way to learn. Instead of looking at a book, you take the stuff off, you know right where it goes because you were the one that took it off. It's disassembly and reassembly,
Well, yes and no, because like I could take a AC condenser off, but that doesn't mean I understand how the whole AC system operates necessarily.
Yeah, we just know what common problems are,
Yeah.
when it comes down to it. Like, honestly, when it comes down to any type of mechanical work or anything along those lines, a lot of it is trial and error.
Yeah, I can see that.
It is.
A lot of it is you sit there, you mess up. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. You will mess up. That's
and it
just part of
sucks.
it. It does. Like, you're going to lose your ass is what we call it. Pretty much. That means, like, you didn't meet the time that you wanted to meet.
Yeah.
Or you broke apart and, worst case, it could come out of your check.
But as long as you learn that lesson, it's worth it, in my opinion. Like, you ain't going to do that next time, If you keep doing the same mistake over and over again, you got a problem. But, it's like, if I break a drill off, I'm going to figure out how that drill broke, and I ain't going to do that again.
Exactly. Or you're going to be very careful the next time you do it. You're going to be like, okay, so this is brittle. I broke this last time. That was expensive. Let's not do that again.
Yeah, it's like Gavin, we had him on the show not long ago. I'm training him right now. He broke, like, probably a $15,000 or $20,000 tool setter, and man, he was just like really beating himself up about it. I'm like, man, I said it's fine to beat yourself up about it, but don't go too hard on yourself. It's just like that's how you learn. And that's a big problem we have at our places. These guys, they'll get in the habit of like, or not really the habit, but somebody will like scold them for messing something up, and then they'll go to nights, and then they'll be like, well, I don't want to get scolded, so if I break something, I'm just not going to tell nobody. And then it's like playing Clue to figure out what happened. Like, if you just tell us what happened, we can figure out what happened and, make it not happen again.
Well, here's the thing here's one thing is if you break it, okay, I don't think that you should get scolded the first time you break it. You need to get talked to.
Exactly.
And be like, hey, man, that was expensive. That was a stupid mistake. And if you keep breaking the same thing or keep messing up the same way, obviously you need to get chewed.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
If you break it the first time, have somebody teach you the right way to do it.
Exactly. Yeah. I kind of want to loop it back to this, Jordan. This is something that you taught me, and it was a bad habit of mine, 100%. I'm not like this at work, but definitely in my own shop, I'm like this. You saw it yourself, is being organized, like putting your tools back where they go, making sure they're clean, just they're so much easier and more efficient if you know where your tools are. And I'll say that's something like you are very, very biblical about. Like you are... That's in the 10 Commandments of being a mechanic for you.
Yeah, I think if I don't know where everything is, it just slows me down. And it may not be like I'm not going to make no time, but it just, to me, I guess I'm a little more orderly than some people.
I will have to say, Jordan, you're a little bit more orderly than me.
I've noticed that. Your top drawer is like, I just couldn't.
Now, when it comes to engine parts and stuff like that, I'm very organized. But when it comes to my tools, I can be unorganized. I ain't going, because when it comes to me putting them up, I'm like, okay, well, I'm about to grab these out again anyway, so I'm just going to lay them right here. And then I end up forgetting where I laid them.
I do that all the time.
So, it's good to be organized. I'm just not.
If I leave my tools out, I always forget something. That's why I put them back. With engine
Should have.
parts, I'm a lot better about.
Yeah.
I'm like very meticulous about that. I know where every nut, washer, push rod, everything.
Is there any like bad safety habits that you guys have kind of came across with people who maybe have not the best habits as far as like lift safety or anything like that as far as safety goes with bad habits and being in a rush especially?
Make sure before you try to jump a starter that the car's in park.
Yeah, that's number one that Tyler has seen personally.
Oh, did that happen to you, Tyler?
Dude, I drove the truck off of the guy.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Broke his ribs, dude.
God.
Broke his ribs, everything else. And take accountability for what you did, man. Like, that's one big thing for me. You're not going to take accountability, then just go on somewhere.
You really can't learn from your mistakes if you don't take accountability.
Exactly.
That guy tried to blame me for it.
Wow. We see that a lot. I'm sure every trade sees it. We see that a lot with us. It's like a dang, anytime something messes up, it's either a blame game or like somebody's trying to lie, and it's just like, be honest. Like, let's be honest and fix the problem.
Yeah, it's like, it's your fault. No, it's your fault. It's like, no.
But that reminds me of
Chill.
a side story. You mentioned, running over the guy. So at my work, parking lot's kind of big. We got a lot of people there. So the welder who's in my department, actually, he's a little bit of a heavier set guy. He drives a big, like really jacked up 4th gen Cummins 6-speed. He was I think he was getting out of it, getting in or getting out, one or the other, but he was, which it's really jacked up, and he's not the tallest guy, so he's kind of got to grab onto stuff whenever he's getting in. He had done started it up. He was going to lift himself up in, and he grabbed it and pulled it in gear and fell down because the truck took off on him, ran over 2 cars, totaled both of them. Like, if it would have hit him, he would have got ran over. And his truck was perfectly fine after all that happened. Like, you could barely even tell anything happened to it after totaling 2 cars.
That's crazy.
Like,
That's crazy. It totaled 2 and did nothing.
Yeah, that's how lifted that truck was. It just like ran all. It was like a dang monster
it didn't
truck.
Even touch
dude.
the body, dog. It just like the frame was like, yeah, what? Was it like a 2500 or something?
Yeah.
Well, if it's a Cummins, it had to be.
Yeah.
So you got the heavy duty frame.
On like 37s on like a 5 or 6 inch lift. That thing was up there.
Looked like a dang Sand King off GTA.
Yeah.
Dude. That's immediately what I thought of, honestly.
Sand King XL.
I don't know how I remembered that. It just came up. When we talk about leaf safety, though, I think, I've never seen it, but my biggest fear is a car coming off the lift.
Yeah, you see it all the time in Facebook videos, too. That's some scary stuff, dude.
That's one of my fears, too. I ain't gonna lie.
Now, I remember one time when I was still a loop tech, at the very closest bay to the service lane, I jacked a car up, or maybe, I don't know if it was me or someone, but I looked under it anyways, and it only had 3 arms holding it up. The 4th one did not touch the body, but it was balanced, and it was a 2-post.
That was yeah, I remember that.
It's like a Focus or something, I feel like.
Yeah. Another thing that I see is people just being careless about lifting even big trucks, man. Big trucks. It's crazy.
Man, that big truck sketched me out. Pole jack.
So,
People can be very careless.
I think a lot of people don't use pole jacks and stuff as much as they should either when doing suspension work.
yeah, that's
Agreed.
another thing with the man. You see some nasty videos of people trying to take coils off. Like, that is the number one thing that like people get hurt doing.
Yeah, I mean, it may not like kill you, but it ain't gonna break a
Ain't gonna feel
finger
good.
or something. It ain't gonna be good.
It's going to be close to killing you if you get hit in the right spot.
That
Yeah,
and
I'd say it could if it hits you in the right spot.
another thing I see people kind of doing, sketchy, is how they blow up the tire. They seat the bead using like a brake or starter fluid and fire.
Well, that's fine if it's on the tire machine, but if it's just laying on the ground,
Yeah,
like a
that's what I see.
semi tire,
Like a semi, yeah.
that's where it gets sketchy.
I think we did it with a tractor tire one time, and I was like, I am getting behind cover, like dang grenade going off.
I get that.
Like that is terrifying. So
Put your finger by the bead.
yeah, like nope. So you guys both came over after being lube techs. Were there any kind of like bad habits that you had to shake going from being a lube tech into an actual tech?
Let me think, because I'm sure there was, and I just probably don't remember.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now too, because I'm sure I've done some stupid stuff and just don't.
Cleaning threads, cross-threading stuff, I'm sure I've done some. I know I've done some dumb shit with that.
Definitely cleaning.
I will tap and chase a thread all day now if I got to. Like that Holly intake, they didn't machine the threads out good, so I went and tapped every thread for that throttle body because I was like, man, this thing, I know it's straight and it feels like it started, but I ain't even gonna risk it.
I feel like that is a bad habit for any trade that deals with fasteners. Is like, golly, people do not take the time to clean up threads. Like they will just keep running like
it's
terrible
important,
stuff.
man.
It drives me nuts, dude. It's like
It'll mess up a torque rating if it's bad enough.
It takes 2 seconds to run a tap down in a hole, but no, you want to like put a fastener. Like it's funny too because they'll grab like a brand new bolt, and be like, "Oh, I think the bolt's the problem." Then they'll just mess up another bolt, sending it in like junk.
It's like everyone calls the tap and die kit the bad day box. Nah, it's a bad day box if you don't use that.
Exactly. Even like with rusted stuff, like it's so good for cleaning rust out of threads. It's just like great in general. Like tapping something is always a great idea.
WD-40 whatever in there and send it in.
Here, dude, that comes back to take your time on stuff.
Yeah, it does for sure. Because if you're rushing, you're like, I ain't gonna tap at.
I've noticed you're very meticulous on getting old gasket off of any surface, which of course if it's gasket it's a mating surface, but you are like very, very meticulous on getting every last particle off,
Yeah, you know what's funny? When I did my cam job the first time at Ford, I didn't remove any gasket material from the header block. I just threw a new head gasket on that bitch and torqued it.
Oh my god.
It never leaked.
Nice.
Dude.
Got lucky.
At first, I wasn't meticulous about that, but man, the worst feeling ever is having, like, yes, you're going to have comebacks. That's something that you messed up that comes back to you. It's going to happen. I mean, all reality.
That sucks, too. I hate comebacks.
Dude, it makes you so embarrassed. Like, in all reality, you get extremely embarrassed and makes you feel like you're just a trash tech. It kind of
demoralize you.
Yeah, there you go. I was looking for the word. I couldn't.
Yeah, I can imagine that. It coming back, and you're like, man, you got to be like kicking yourself, like, God, how did I miss this? How did I mess this up? Like, just got to be a million things going through your head.
Or like you diag something and you think you fix it, and then this issue's still there. That's the worst.
Mm-hmm.
The diags are the worst because they're the hardest to fix.
Especially with electrical diags.
Yeah, I mean, electrical can be really complex. Like, you can have, like, we had a Corvette, for instance, that Haney was having a real hard time with. And it was like a PCM, like, CAN bus issue. And what it was the CAN bus line for the driver door module was bad, and it was causing no communication with the engine, ECU, and TCU. And it's just crazy. Like, it's something that you never would have thought would have even that a driver door module issue would ever correlate to.
Yeah, I can imagine chasing down stuff like that. It's like the window switch on the truck is just like an anomaly on what's going on with it. I've just gave up on trying to fix it. Electrical problems can just be terrible, man. Like especially chasing down, something might be grounded, chasing down stuff like that. It's just, I think everybody just hates working on wiring in general.
I'll tell you what I think one of the best tools for wiring is that I'm going to have to buy is a power probe. They are so useful, man.
Dude, you're not wrong. To be real with you, electrical is very complex. It can total a car easily.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You remember that one that got struck by lightning in the parking lot and it fried every module in that thing?
Yep.
I was sitting outside when it happened, and I just saw like all white, and I was like, "Oh, did I just die?" Like, I just saw all white. I was like, "Did I just pass and go to heaven?"
Nah,
Time
dog.
has come.
That's how y'all charge up the Ford Lightnings before y'all send them out. Gotta actually
Yeah,
get
what
hit
you
by
mean?
lightning.
God dang lightning pole on it.
Yeah.
What do you call that? Lightning rod or whatever.
Yeah. After it's struck, it's ready to go.
Got a supercharged creeper right next to it.
Those things are a rolling electrical problem from factory.
God.
They have like the worst mileage of any EV I've seen.
They really do, and that's why Ford's getting out of the electric cars. They're getting out of EVs pretty well.
Yeah, I guess we should have had you on for that episode. We just talked about that not too long ago about how many billions of dollars they lost from the, I don't know what production line it was, what production car it was, but how they just lost so much money having to pull out of all that.
Oh yeah, which I could have told you that. We're not to that. We're not to that advancement in technology yet. Like
Yeah.
we're close. Honestly,
Yeah.
I think they need to look more into hybrid vehicles. Like,
I
could you
think hybrid's the
imagine,
way to go, man.
dude? Could you imagine a hybrid 5.0,
Oh, God.
like a
Yeah.
hybrid 5.0 Mustang? That would be wicked.
No
It'd be
doubt.
it'd be fast.
Yeah, I mean, Corvette kind of opened the door for that. I'm sure we'll start seeing a lot more hybrid sports cars because that's the only way for them to keep
Well,
enthusiasts like happy.
I believe there's already quite a few hybrid sports cars. Is the NSX like that? I feel like the new NSX.
I know the McLaren P1 is a hybrid hypercar.
Let me look up because I'm curious. Yeah, it's got two hybrid electric engines, and it's got a V6 making 573 horsepower.
Yeah, they make killer power.
Yeah, I
It's
think
like,
hybrids. I've always been more into hybrid than anything else.
yeah, me too.
But yeah, I guess we can move on to our gaming topic. I just wanted to hit on that, kind of maybe give you guys who are either experienced or inexperienced kind of an idea of some bad habits that are easy or not so easy to slip into. And I guess with that being said, we'll throw it to our gaming topic. So as you heard in the intro, we're going to be talking about the last 10 years of Battlefield and kind of what we've saw change between one to the next and kind of compare it to where we are now. I guess we could start out with the first one coming out in 2013 in the 10-year span, Battlefield 4, which, as you hear repeatedly, Jordan still play to this day off and on. Like, it still holds up perfectly well. I'd say one of the best Battlefield games, hands down, is got to be Battlefield 4.
Yeah, if you don't say it's the best, I can understand that, but I think it had the most impact on Battlefield as a franchise, other than maybe Battlefield 2 and some of the early ones that really set the tone for it.
Yeah, I think, man, Levolution's changed so much. Like, that, to this day, like, that's the one thing. I remember back in that day whenever people would say, COD versus Battlefield and be like, I am the kill streak. I can destroy buildings. If I'm shooting through the wall, why not just blow it up and not have a wall there no more? Like, that is the one thing that 4 changed so incredibly well going into 2013 era is the Levolutions, the high quality multiplayer experience, the large maps. I mean, the only cons you could really pull about Battlefield 4 is the bad launch. But I mean, like, that's so far in the past now. Like, there's no like current con to the Battlefield 4 other than the lack of player. Well, I wouldn't even say the lack of player count, but the player count is there are their dedicated fans that are so insanely good at that game. It's like pretty difficult to do super well. I mean, you're usually breaking even, or a casual player, of course. You're usually kind of running with the pack, I would say.
Yeah, I would say one thing, if we can kind of count Battlefield 3 and 4 together, because I think they're really similar, is the bullet physics and overall game physics was like a huge step up compared to the past, and even games of that time. I mean, you had people 1,000 meters away sniping 2,000 meters away. It's just crazy. And, that only in Battlefield stuff really started in Battlefield 3 and 4. Like the Battlefield montages I'd watch as a kid.
Dude, you're not wrong. I used to play Battlefield 4 on PS3, and it was such an awesome.
And you know what? I didn't even think about it. Battlefield 4 really had one of the coolest, like if you were an achievement hunter, Battlefield 4 was there, man. Because I remember doing the Phantom operation and all that. I've put so much time into that.
Even
it's just crazy to me.
The C100, dude, even that was like the coolest thing ever, having the bipod knife.
It was literally a meme just from Battlefield Friends that they added in the game. That's where that came from, right? Like Battlefield Friends, they joked about it first, and then they added it. It's crazy.
That just shows you the impact that they had. Like Battlefield Friends was such a phenomenon.
You ever watch that, Tyler?
What is it?
Battlefield Friends is like this animation of people playing Battlefield.
No, I haven't seen that.
Man, you're going to watch it.
You're missing out.
Yeah, I'll have to look
It's so funny.
I got onto a kick of where I was playing Call of Duty for a long time. But I'll be real with you, I've lost all interest in Call of Duty. Especially after Modern Warfare 3, this last one, it's just a joke. Like, it should have never been released.
Yeah, hopefully, I think we're getting a new Battlefield either. It might be this year, but I think it's next year.
John can tell you. He's all about that. I think it's, the next couple of years for sure.
Yeah, it's soon. And I'll tell you what, I mean, even Battlefield 5, I wasn't the biggest fan of, but I played it and I enjoyed it. That's the only Battlefield recently that I haven't liked. I liked Hardline, so I can't really say that was a bad game. I really don't understand all the hate for Hardline. I loved that game.
Yeah, it got a lot of unjustified hate. I couldn't understand the hate for it. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah,
it was a vibe, man.
Dude, a lot of people just hated it because they didn't have like the military themes. It was all cop warfare kind of, heists.
That's what made it so fun, dude.
Yeah, it was different.
People just don't like changes, kind of what I've seen. Like whenever COD went to the whole exosuits and stuff, like people hated that so much. It's the same thing here. Like they strayed away from the military theme and everybody hated it.
You know what? I did hate exosuits, but looking back, I do like it now.
Yeah, the exosuits, I can't say that I do like. I'm still not a fan. The only complaint I have at Battlefield is no campaign. That's the only complaint. But it's still better than Call of Duty. Even Call of Duty's campaign, their new campaign is trash.
Does 2042 have a campaign? I haven't even checked.
No, 2042 is online only.
I feel like Battlefield 5 was kind of a joke. But Battlefield 1, I do gotta say, that campaign, that was good.
Yeah, Battlefield 1 campaign was...
Battlefield 4 was alright. I mean, it wasn't like... Ooh, it's so crazy, but...
I'll have to say, I like Battlefield 4 campaign. I really did.
Yeah.
Of course,
I liked how you unlocked multiplayer stuff, too. I think that should be in more games.
Yeah, it forces you to play the campaign if you want to have those exclusive weapons. I love that, man. Because somebody like me, I've never been big into the Battlefield campaigns, but it did force me to use it to get that Rex and, get those different weapons. So I played a little bit of 4's campaign. I didn't play it as much as y'all have, of course.
Yeah, I beat it on console. I literally Battlefield 4. I maxed that game out. Literally everything you could do, I did on console.
So my thing was, before I started on Battlefield, I never was really an online person. I'm still not. I'm not a good online player. But when it comes to any game, pretty well, I paid major attention to campaign. That's why when it was out, which I think should be out again. Like, honestly, if they can make another game, it would make a lot of people like me happy, is Medal of Honor.
Yes.
Medal of Honor Warfighter.
And that's an EA game.
Yeah, and it was such a good game.
I played the crap out of Warfighter. I'm surprised you know about that.
Dude, I love
the customization on it, too, dude. You could really, customize it. And it had cool kill streaks, too. It was like their take on Call of Duty, kind of. I really liked it. So
I played every Medal of Honor that came from the Medal of Honor that was on Wii.
Did you play the 2013, like the other Medal of Honor? Yeah, just called Medal of Honor. It's like Battlefield, but no, not as much vehicles really.
So that's why really have That's why I really like Battlefield. It reminds me of Medal of Honor way.
Yeah.
It has that same realistic feel, realistic warfare type deal. Bullets.
Until you see me launching a buggy across the map.
Well, that's you, George. Not all of us can get those 50 kill streaks.
No, I'm talking about I literally put C4 and mines under a buggy and blow it into the sky.
Oh, no, I have not seen that yet.
You can't do it on 2042, but on Battlefield 4, me and Josh, we'd hit that up.
That's like
I could see that.
That's the go-to thing to do whenever you're bored in a match that's losing.
Yeah. It's like running Riot Shield on Call of Duty. It's just what you do.
See, on Battlefield or any of them, really, I don't really care the most kills of the map. I'm one of those people that I like the sniping physics. I'm one of the assholes to sit back in the corner and just watch.
He is him.
I really am him.
I liked on Battlefield 1 you could get the pickup sniper. That was really fun. The one-hit kill one. Man, I'd abuse that thing.
Dude, on Battlefield 4, do you remember like the Easter egg weapons you get a hold of, like the compound bow and stuff like that?
Dude, that's the Phantom operation. The bow, I got that shit.
Dude,
It took me 2 months, but I got it.
Yeah, it took me a while too. But it's so fun. It was well worth
it. It was. I like the pickups on Battlefield 4 too. They were pretty well balanced, except for the USAS 12 on launch. And then Battlefield 1 had that flamethrower kit, and I love that. I think Battlefield 1 Levolutions were probably the best, though.
Battlefield 1 was really fun. And
it was. I remember when that game came out, it was hype, too. Like, everyone was playing it.
I played it 24/7. Like, every time I turned on a Battlefield.
Yeah, what year did that even come out?
Which one?
I think it was like 2013.
Nah, it's probably like 15 or even later than that, probably.
What game is it?
Battlefield 1.
Battlefield 1 came out in 2016.
I was about to say, I knew it was like right around high school.
Yeah.
Man,
I remember specifically because we were playing it not long after it came out, and I think I had my intermediate at the time. It was, and I don't remember what happened, but I just remember getting really mad, and I'm like, Jordan, I'm going for a drive, and I just drove around the lake for like an hour. That game was so much fun, though. The biplanes, like the horse, man, the horse was so much fun to run cavalry in. That was like really so much fun. Like, that's way better than running people over with like a quad or whatever, because you can just like take a sword to them. It's just so awesome. I would say one's pretty underrated in my opinion.
I do too, to be honest with you.
Like, a lot of people kind of criticize it because of its historical liberties were taken away from the gameplay, but I mean, like, if you're that dead set on like historical accuracy, like, go watch the History Channel. Like, this is Battlefield.
Play Hell Let Loose or something.
Yeah, like I can get being upset at COD World War II for having like these bizarre guns in the supply drops, but like Battlefield wasn't doing no crazy stuff like that.
No, you had real weapons and vehicles.
Yeah. I'd say Battlefield's always kind of stemmed to be somewhat historically accurate, especially whenever you compare them to other games like Call of Duty.
Yes, and that's another thing. Like, the campaigns on Battlefield were always so, like, realistic fun. It had a great story. It had, like, the old Call of Duties, they had great stories. This new one, I tried playing it, and there's not many campaigns that I can't, like, when it comes to I just can't stand to finish it, that's the game. I could sit through I've been through some awful games, and I can sit through them and be like, all right, well, I'm going to beat this. Call of Duty Modern Warfare, this new one, I couldn't do it. It was awful.
Seeing the gameplay of it.
So did Jordan? Did you play 5? I don't know about you, Tyler, too.
It's multiplayer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seemed like the only thing that I kind of heard that was a kind of a con to Battlefield 5 was the portrayal of World War II having like. I know a lot of people's gripe was having like women in World War II, like so weird. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I understand why the campaign was so focused on that.
Huh.
it's like people always have something stupid to gripe about, but yeah, that kind of topped the charts for me. I ain't gonna lie. Like,
Yeah, I think
Okay.
they learned their lesson too, because they really didn't push that after.
yeah,
Like they saw that was a negative for a lot of people.
why aren't they griping about Nicki Minaj on freaking Warzone?
Yeah, I don't understand all that.
Like, it goes from being a realistic shooter to, now we're gonna jump around and, spray and pray for no reason.
Yeah, Nicki Minaj busting it down for the finisher.
Yeah. I don't get that. If you're gonna put a celebrity, like if you're wanting to play some Fortnite, they got Peter Griffin from Family Guy.
They got everything on there.
I feel like
Why do y'all have to?
they're just going in a weird, bizarre direction with that. Like, people buy those packs, and it's like I wish they'd go the other direction of more like, not really vulgar, but like funny things like that. Like COD had the flipping off emote. That, like, dude, everybody bought that. If they just had like, me and my coworker talk all the time. If they had like a finishing move where you just like started teabagging somebody, everybody would buy that. Like, I wish they would go that route instead of like the crazy celebrities.
Honestly, I'm really surprised they don't put like they got the skins, but they don't push a lot of DLC like that.
Yeah,
I know.
But that's the cool thing about Battlefield is it's not a supply drop system. It's all in the battle pass, which, like, yeah, you gotta pay like $5 for it, or you could slowly earn the currency for free. Like, granted, it's a grind, but as long as you get to like, level 100 in the battle pass, you'll have enough money to buy it again next time with in-game currency. It's kind of dope. Like, it rewards you for grinding for sure. Like, I never spent a single dollar on Battlefield, and I'm like 300 credits, which is like nothing from buying the battle pass on my own, like without even spending any money.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a penny pitcher, so I don't spend a lot of money on video games. That's just one of those things I can't bring myself to do it. So yeah, it's nice that they give you that option. Like, okay, so you don't want to spend the money, work for it.
Yeah, I like that about Battlefield. They don't push the DLC. They don't try and it's really surprising because it's EA. It really surprises me because everyone's talking about EA being money hungry, and then you got Call of Duty over here. Like,
oh God,
just doing that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, buy Nicki Minaj so she can twerk for you. It's like, come on now.
That's the greatest.
Tracer, dog.
That's the greatest comparison ever, is comparing those two. Whenever Battlefield people really cannot complain, because if you look at the battle pass, you are guaranteed to get certain items. But if you buy a dang supply drop, you got like such insane odds of actually getting something.
It's literally gambling.
Yeah, it really is. But yeah, we could go ahead and move it on to 2042, which I'll just go ahead and tease. We'll be doing a whole segment on 2042 soon. I've got a guest picked out that has put insane amount of time into 2042. But Jordan has finished his build, so we are finally able to hop on 2042 and enjoy it. And we can kind of talk about that, what Battlefield 2042 has done different. And I guess a lot of people talk about the weather. It really, I don't know, man. I feel like the weather is just kind of, they either need to go full send on the weather or not enough, or not do it at all, because it just seems kind of annoying. Like, it happens like once in a game and only in a certain spot in the map, and it's just like, I don't know, it's just kind of annoying. It's like, oh cool, storm's here. Like, it's nothing crazy, really. It's no game changing thing.
I think it's pretty good where it's at. I think if there's any more, it would be too game changing.
It just seems so avoidable. Like, if it's hitting like that objective, I'm just gonna avoid that objective.
If you want it to be more like a challenge for people, I get that. But I'm talking about you may not want it to interrupt your gameplay.
You're saying it's good where it's at for a realistic standpoint.
I don't know. I just think it's pretty good where it's at. I think if it's more, Like it would be harder to play the game. It'd be more like you're just stuck in the weather.
Oh, okay, I see.
I could see that. I could definitely see that.
So
I could see them making it larger on the map, but I don't know. Not too much larger.
yeah, I do want to hear what you guys think, because this was a huge controversy on the route that they took with the specialists and having unique abilities to each specialist. Instead of being just a typical run-of-the-mill soldier, you are a special operator, and there's different ones in, each class. I'm wanting to know what you guys kind of feel about that.
Yeah, I like that there's so many different abilities to choose from, but I don't like. I wish it was more like Battlefield 4 in a sense. It seemed easier to identify people on Battlefield 4.
Yeah, I agree.
Because sometimes is that if you don't see the red on a person, you're like, is that enemy? Is that friendly?
Oh, yeah, I understand what you're saying now. One thing that I didn't like at first, but I really like now, is that you can use any weapon with any operator class, which is a big thing that 4 did not have. Like, you couldn't run an LMG as a support, or, well, other way around, because the support on 2042 is a medic. But, yeah, you can't use a LMG as, a recon or engineer. But with 2042, you could use any gun in any class. I'm not sure how you guys feel about that. I feel like, Jordan, you're kind of, you'd probably fight me on that one.
I like that.
Yeah?
I wish Battlefield 4 I could use the ARs on every class, because I love the ARs on there.
Yeah, I can agree with
the
you.
carbines on Battlefield 4, I'm not a big fan of most of them, and it's just a problem.
If there is a way, I wish they did like one of the, like what Call of Duty did, when you could put that perk in that basically you could have it. Yeah, overkill. There it is.
Yeah.
Where your secondary could be a full size instead of a.
Yeah, they should have an operator do that. I'm really surprised they don't.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking as well. I was kind of shocked that they didn't do that, but I mean, it is what it is.
Or a sniper in like an SMG or something would be perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
I could see them using a realistic standpoint and saying, well, if we did that, we're going to have to make that operator walk slower or something because he's carrying, two primary
how
weapons.
realistic is it to have a fucking deployable LMG?
Oh, yeah.
Bullet
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Or if you have to pick up a gun
if
off
it's supposed
the
to be
ground.
futuristic, they surely could add some way to make it seem more realistic, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Or the, what is it? Oh, if they're worried about realism, they could do like I don't know, instead of us having to pick up classes off the ground, they just let us pick up singular weapons. You know what I mean?
Yes, I definitely agree with that. Yeah, because
more ammo off the ground too.
Yeah, is that a new thing with 2042? Because I've noticed every kill a person drops an ammo pack.
Yeah, but it ain't much. Is the problem.
It's like one magazine.
Yeah, if that.
I feel like
it is a new thing.
I feel like in 2042 the support is like, I wouldn't say OP, but that's almost the way to go if you're running infantry, because you have the opportunity to have both syringes and ammo packs. So you're like the best of both worlds if you're running with a squad. Like, you got both the hookups.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
And the quick revives too.
I like the assault operators though, so that's my problem.
Yeah, see, that's actually my least favorite. I'm just not big on the wingsuit and the tac stem. I'm just not big on that. I'm not a big movement god. Like, I like to kind of just move traditionally. Like, I don't know.
I'm movement, all the way. Yeah. Any game I play.
Yeah, I'm not a movement guy. I like to sit back and chill. I want to sit back and watch.
That's what I like about Battlefield 4. It really suits a lot of playstyle. Or 2042.
It really does. It has. You have a variety of stuff you can do. It's not just a singular.
You got that on Battlefield 4. You just got your classes.
Yeah.
The only people who sit back on there are UCAF spammers, and I just want to strangle them.
Oh my god.
Dude, I haven't played Battlefield 4 in forever, so it's one of those things.
That has become such a thing with the players currently on 4. It's just like, that is just the move for them, is UCAV spam. It's like mortar spam back in the day, but now they're using UCAVs.
Well, there's definitely mortar spam on Rush, if you can get in a Rush lobby on Battlefield 4.
Oh, God.
And sometimes it's just straight UCAVs. There is no mortars. It's just like 20 UCAVs coming at you.
Oof. Yeah, see, I'm not a fan of it.
Like UCAV's fun, but man, spam gets annoying.
I could see that.
I did notice there's an operator with an airburst on 2042, and I'm glad that is not like a class, like, or just a gadget that anyone can get.
What is it?
The airburst gun that shoots like like frags behind a wall, like it shoots them out and does splash damage.
Really? I've not seen that yet.
Yeah, I think he's on engineer, I feel like.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know, it's alright. I'm not too big on it. But I'm glad people can't just spam it. Because you don't get ammo for it like an ammo pouch. You gotta wait, and you get one mag.
Man,
honestly, I'm sitting here playing Battlefield 2042 right now as we speak.
I feel like that's one of, and coming from a guy who uses it, I feel like it's super overpowered is the whole regenning your stuff, because like we come from playing 4, and way back in the day you could stinger stuff out of a chopper in 4, and you can even still to this day shoot RPGs out. If you have someone's good with those and your passenger who's also repairing, man, you are a force to be reckoned with. But on 2042, you've got that tug missile. You've got that, plus it regens over time, so you don't have to redeploy or have an ammo pouch. That seems insane to me. That fact that you could just stay all game. And if you're good with that, dude, you basically got like an unstoppable force.
Well, you remember that one dude in that attack chopper that had like 100 kills, and he was like, man, we gotta drop what we're doing and take this guy out.
Uh-huh.
I had the tug missile, and you had the stinger. We wombo comboed him. He had 0 deaths until we came along.
We said we have one objective to finish this.
He had
match
100
off.
kills and no deaths, and we was like, you getting 1 death. I don't care what it takes.
I will kill my KD right now just to kill you once. I get into those moods too.
The one thing, especially comparing 4 to 2042, I would say I can agree with this too. The amount of guns is kind of sad because, man, 2042 is catching up, because you got to think, whenever 2042 first came out, there was none of those Battlefield 3 vault guns. It was just strictly what they had in there now. And, man, compared to 4, it's like not even a fraction of what 4 has. There's so many weapons on there.
I can agree.
I do like how they have some of the old weapons brought back. I think there's a good amount of weapons, though.
Yeah,
I don't think it's
better.
like there's not a lot.
Yeah, but at launch, it was a lot fewer. Like, I'd probably say half or close to half the guns.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because a lot of the guns came from just unlocking in the Battle Pass as the seasons came out. Like the VSS that I love, I don't know what it's called on there, but it's the Dragunov. It wasn't in the game from launch. It came in a season like 2 or 3. Like, those guns have been really slowly. I get that. It keeps the game fresh, always giving out new guns, but it does kind of suck to not have...
That's what Battlefield 4 did as well.
Yeah, I just like to see a lot of guns from launch. Somebody that's played the game for hours and hours and hours definitely gets bored of using the same guns over and over again. It was nice to see like the rail gun get added, the rail sniper, and the 50 BMG. Guns like that. It's nice to see those kind of come in and change everything up.
I can agree with that.
I like how you really got to level up to get a lot of guns too.
Yeah, and it's a grind.
Yeah, it's a grind. Yeah, you don't get the option to really buy your. You don't get to be ahead of everybody unless you actually put in the work to be ahead.
Yeah, I think.
Like if you put in the.
What?
Do what? If you put in the work to actually be ahead of people, by all means, do your thing, buddy. You slaved for that.
Yeah.
But I just hate the. Again, I'm not trying to hate on Call of Duty. I just hate the fact that Call of Duty went the route that.
Yeah, I think even like, man, it like you said, it is a grind. I just unlocked the last mag for the pistol, the Glock on there, and man, I had to get like I think 200 or 300 kills with it, and with a pistol, I mean that's putting in some dang work.
Yeah. It's putting in some major work.
It's it definitely. I would say Battlefield 2042, it's I don't remember the grind on 4, but I feel like it's more of a grind than any Battlefield to get stuff, especially getting stuff to like tier 1.
Oh yeah, I agree.
But I guess that kind of wraps up the past 10 years of Battlefield. I'll be glad to see what Battlefield has next, because I feel like 2042 really, they did a really, really good job, in my opinion, as overall. They've definitely got it to a, I wouldn't say playable point, because optimization still ain't great for people who aren't on SSD, but I would say 2042 I'm super happy with, and if the next one sucks, I'll definitely be staying on 2042, at least until they get the launch kinks worked out that every Battlefield has.
Agreed. Now, 2042 has really set a standard out.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of it so far. It's, I wasn't able to play it, but once I've been able to play it here, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But that wraps up this, guys. I'll throw it to an outro. We'll see you guys in the next one. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode as much as we did. If you did, hop on over to social media, follow the podcast wherever you get your socials. Also, be sure to add us on Snapchat. We're going to be trying to do some March Madness style brackets with our Snapchat followers' cars. And if you want to be a part of that, add us on Snapchat. With that being said, guys, we'll see you in the next one.